All right, let's talk about a problem that every single person in security runs into. We're going to dive into how you turn that absolute chaos of a network scan into a clear, actionable plan. Let's get right into it.
So, picture this. You just finished your scan. You're staring at a screen packed with open ports, different services, version numbers. The machine is definitely talking to you, but what on earth is it saying? It's that moment, right? It's exciting, but it can also be, well, completely paralyzing. Where do you even begin?
And that feeling, that's our first section, the overwhelming scan. It's that all too familiar sense of just being buried in data, where every single line is screaming for your attention. We have all been there, for sure.
Now, just look at this. It's probably a familiar sight, right? A wall of text. You've got FTP, SSH, Apache, Samba, MySQL, and your brain is just trying to process it all at once. So what do? Do you start at the top with port 21? Do you jump right to the web server on port 80? Or hey, maybe that database on 3306 looks juicy? This is exactly where your gut instinct can lead you completely down the wrong path.
And this brings us to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer. It's such a crucial point. When you feel that sense of overwhelm, when every single thing looks like a potential lead, you have to have a system. You know, ranking isn't about wild guessing. It's about systematically, methodically finding the most promising path forward.
So let's talk about that trap, the classic beginner's mistake. We're going to call it chasing the plot. This is when you start focusing on things that feel dramatic or, mysterious, instead of what's actually useful.
The source material for this tells this fantastic little story. The author was fixated on this one really strange service, one that felt like it was wearing a digital trench coat. It just felt important, right? It felt like something out of a movie. But as we're about to see, what feels like the main story isn't always where the real answers are.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? You have two totally different mindsets. Over on one side, you've got the plot hunter, who's all about chasing drama and gut feelings. And on the other, you have the evidence follower, the one who's looking for those boring but super reliable clues, the sensible shoes. Yeah, one approach feels like a movie, but the other one, that's what actually gets you repeatable results.
And there it is. After all that time circling that flashy, mysterious service, the breakthrough came from something else entirely. It came from plain, simple evidence that was sitting right there on a common service. The machine, it wasn't designed to reward some dramatic gut feeling. It was designed to be solved by just methodically following the clues it was already giving away.
So let this be your new mantra. Just because a service looks strange, or really old, or has some weird banner, that does not automatically mean it's your best entry point. It still has to earn its spot at the top of your list with actual evidence, not just by looking interesting.
Okay, so if we're not supposed to just follow our gut, then what are we supposed to do? Well, that brings us to the solution, a much better way, a professional methodology based on ranking.
We have to completely redefine what the word first even means in this context. The first service you should investigate isn't just the first line item in your scan results. No, it's the service that gives you the absolute best return on your time, the one that provides solid, useful evidence that lets you take your next concrete step.
Look, the whole point of a good triage process isn't to make some lucky guess right out of the gate. It's about being efficient. It's about quickly and confidently ruling out all those rabbit holes so you can focus your energy where it's most likely to actually matter. So how do we do it? Let's get practical. Let's get down to the brass tacks. Here is an actionable checklist, the triage criteria that you can use on your very next scan.
These are your top 3 priorities, okay? First, does the service give you a clear, unambiguous version number you can actually research? Second, are there any obvious signals of a misconfiguration, like, say, default pages or really verbose error messages? And third, is the output easy to understand? A service that spits out human-readable text is almost always a better starting point than one that just gives you a bunch of binary gibberish.
So once you've applied those primary factors, you can refine your list even further with these questions. How likely is it that a service like this has a known vulnerability? Think about its history, common exploits. Next, how loud is your investigation going to be? Are you going to set off a bunch of alarms? And finally, how easy is it to grab a screenshot or copy the text to prove what you found? Trust me, good notes are absolutely essential. And all of this leads us to our final section, where we can see how this whole approach builds a completely new picture of what success really looks and feels like. We're talking about uncool but incredibly effective progress.
I gotta say, this is my absolute favorite line from the source material. A real breakthrough doesn't always feel like that dramatic "I'm in" moment from the movies. More often than not, it's the quiet result of making a series of small, logical, and yeah, maybe even boring decisions, one right after the other. It feels less like heroism and a lot more like just good filing.
And here is why this matters so much. When you develop a systematic way to triage your scan results, you're not just solving one problem. You're building a reusable skill. It's a process you can apply to any target on any day, no matter what specific services you happen to find.
And this skill is reusable precisely because it's not based on luck. It's based on a methodical process of ranking evidence and taking high-quality notes. It completely detaches your success from random chance and connects it directly to your methodology and your discipline. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. The next time you're staring at that wall of scan results, just remember this. Your big breakthrough probably isn't lurking in the shadows wearing a digital trench coat. It's much more likely to be sitting right there in plain sight, in its sensible shoes, just waiting for you to notice the clear, simple evidence it's offering.